Boker Tov, good morning, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this 3-day weekend as we go into another day of our Elul reflections, starting with Psalm 27, verse 4. Achat she'alti me'et Adonai, otav hakesh. Achat she'alti me'et Adonai, otav hakesh. Shivti בבית אדוני כל ימי חיי לחזות בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו לחזות בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו. This morning we hear a reflection from Laurel Perry, who will talk about a good friend of hers who inspires her, and perhaps a little bit about the power of our words.
Life, a person who inspires you. When I read that prompt, I immediately wanted to share about a friend of mine who's had a deep and meaningful impact on my life. Her name is Deborah. I call her Deb. Having her as a close friend has been an incredible blessing for almost 35 years. One of the most fascinating aspects of our friendship is that she is a Christian and I am a Jew. Our love and admiration for each other transcends our different religions, and we both have supported each other in our search for truth, understanding God, and finding strength through prayer and reflection. We have lived a couple miles from each other, and we have lived hundreds of miles from each other. It hasn't mattered because we work hard at staying in touch with our letters. What a gift we give each other with our written words. I want to share about Deb because she's a person who throughout her life has always found ways to see the positive in the world and has been an inspiration. She's been through some very wonderful times and some very dark times in her life. As a mother of 3, her homeschooling days were an incredible example of her ability to love, teach, guide, and inspire. Her sad days came when her second son had heart surgery as an infant and again as a toddler. Thankfully, he's healthy now. One of the most profound times Deb and I had was just last year. Deb invited me to a college class she was taking called Positive Psychology. The online description of the class is this: emphasis is placed on leading a meaningful and fulfilling life that benefits both person and society. Wow. Deb didn't tell me anything about the class structure that day. When I entered the room, there were about 25 students and the professor sitting in chairs in a big circle. In the center of the circle were 2 empty chairs facing each other. The professor asked Deb, "Would you like to go first?" She said yes. And to my surprise, she grabbed my hand, led me to the center of the room. I could feel the emotion in the air. Deb brought out a letter. She began to read it aloud to everyone. This letter expressed her gratitude to me for our friendship. When she finished reading, there was definitely some sniffles in the room. I was crying. She was crying. We embraced while the other students clapped. I was so humbled and touched. Deb has led a life full of gratitude plus grit. Recently, she started a blog with the same name so she can inspire and share her reflections about life. I will share one final quote she wrote in one of the many letters I have saved that seemed like a perfect reflection for the high holy days. And here it is. There is always room for improvement to evaluate myself and how to be a better person. Thank you for listening. And Deb, I love you.
Thank you so much, Laurel, for offering this reflection and offering just a small piece of the beautiful friendship that you and Deb have. I think it's so important, especially now, to realize that differences between one another, be they religion or anything else, are actually assets and not anything that takes away from them. And so it's wonderful that that has been an area where you've come together. But the most powerful thing from your message was the way in which you and Deb really uplift one another and offer words of gratitude. There are so many texts within our Torah, and they come up throughout the High Holy Days as well, about the power of the words that we use. There's a reason that during the High Holy Days we use a lot of words. We use words of atonement. We use words of praise for God. We use words of thanksgiving, and these words are meant to change us internally. The Jewish practice of saying 100 prayers a day, is it because God needs 100 prayers a day? Probably not. But it helps us to be able to express our gratitude for that which we have. I'm so glad that you and Deb have been able to hold on to your friendship, because you've been able to express gratitude and feel such gratitude for one another, be there at the good times and be there at the bad ones. And I hope that during this High Holy Day season, we can find many, many ways in which to express our gratitude for people who we love, whether we've expressed it 50 million times or we've never expressed it before, because those words, those moments, like being brought up to the front of the room, truly matter so much. We're going to go back to the power of words in just a few minutes, but before we do, let us return to Psalm 27 as we read through its words, hoping that they strike us perhaps a little bit different than they did even yesterday. Of David, Adonai is my light and my victory. From whom shall I feel fright? Adonai is the stronghold of my life. From whom shall I feel terror? When evildoers approach me in battle to feed on my flesh, my pursuers, my adversaries, they have stumbled, they have fallen down. If a camp encamps against me, my heart will not fear. If a war arises against me, in this I would trust. One thing I have sought from Adonai, how I long for it, that I might live in the house of Adonai all the days of my life, and that I might look upon the sweetness of Adonai and spend time in the palace. That you might hide me in the sukkah on a chaotic day, hide me in the hiding places of your tent, raise me high upon a rock. Now my head rises above my enemies round about, and in your tent I'll offer offerings to the sound of the truah, the shofar. I shall sing and chant praises to Adonai. Hear, Adonai, my voice. I am crying out. Be gracious to me, answer me. My heart has said to you, seek my face. I am seeking your face, Adonai. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my help. Do not forsake me. Do not abandon me, God of my deliverance. For my father and my mother have abandoned me, yet Adonai gathers me up. Make your path apparent to me. Guide me in the upright road because of those up ahead who lie in wait for me. Do not hand me over to the lust of my adversaries, for false witnesses have risen against me, puffing violently. Had I not the faith that I would see the goodness of God in the land of life? Wait for Adonai. Fill your waiting with hope in Adonai. Let your heart be strong and of good courage, and wait hopefully for Adonai. Today, as I mentioned, we're focused on this one word right here, koli. Hear Adonai, my voice. And today I offer this reflection by Rabbi Deborah Robbins on the power of our voice. Their voices rise from the parchment of the page, calling to God. From them I learn, with my voice I can call. I will call. I am calling. On Rosh Hashanah, from the Torah, the angel's urgent call just in time. She saves Isaac's life from Abraham's raised hand. Abraham Joshua Heschel is right. An angel can never be late, but we humans of flesh and blood can be. God's messenger is not too late. A sacred voice is heard, a single life, a whole world is saved. On Rosh Hashanah from the Haftarah, Hannah's call, a silent prayer. Her tears flow and words come straight from the heart. Though misunderstood by some, as the psalmist writes, God understands because to you silence is praise. The human voice is heard. A dream is born. A legacy of service begins. On Yom Kippur morning in the Haftarah, Isaac the prophet shouts God's message, while the gates of possibility are still wide open. Call and cry, raise your voice like a shofar. Like so many before me, I need this encouragement. The human heart learns over and over again. Call aloud, use the voice, and God will answer, Hineni, here I am. On Yom Kippur afternoon, in Jonah's story, a plea to the sailors, a cry from the belly of the whale, the one who refused to hear God's call now calls to God. God hears the reluctant prophet's message and gives him another chance. The human voice is raised. Repentance is possible. We humans, we can change. God's angel, Hannah, Isaiah, Jonah, the inspired voices inspire me to raise my own voice. Call like the angel, don't be late. Pray like Hannah from the heart for life. Shout like a shofar to be heard. Raise like Jonah in the face of despair and return. They are all divine messengers. And with my voice, I am too. This Rosh Hashanah, we are going to be reading not the story of the Akedah, the story of Abraham and Isaac, and how Isaac is nearly killed. Instead, we are going to be reading the story of Bereshit, of creation. And the very beginning of creation, God says, let there be light, and there is light. The entire world comes into being because of an utterance from God. Now, we don't need to understand this literally, but even metaphorically, it is talking about the power of our words, the power of using our voice to stand up for justice, to speak our gratitude, to offer words of apology and repentance. So today, as we go ever closer towards Rosh Hashanah, as Slichot is just around the corner, this is our opportunity to think about how we wish to use our words to bring some more light, some more justice, some more love and compassion into this world around us. And right now I want to use my words to thank all of you for being here this morning as a sacred community. Tom and Laurel, I'm so glad that you offered your reflection. So powerful, and that you're here this morning. Patricia and Donnie and Michelle and my cousin Eugene, good to see Eugene, Tom and Allison and Michael and so many others who are here. If only my phone would allow me to see you. Okay, well, I am grateful for all of you. Pam and Rivka, Bonnie and Jay, Reva and Susan, Elliot and Sarah. Hi, Mom, and everyone else who is here, thank you. Thank you for forming this sacred community on this Labor Day that we are in the midst of this morning. But we can't conclude without first hearing our shofar blast, such an important part of these days in order to awaken us. So I give you the one and only George Mayer. Thank you so much, George. And we conclude, as always, with a prayer of healing for people in our community, for people in our world who are in need of healing of mind, healing of body, and healing of spirit. For all those suffering from COVID, for all those who are suffering on our city streets, from all those who are dealing with illnesses and challenges that are perhaps invisible, but that strike nonetheless. We hope that these prayers inspire us to be there for others and also bring some healing to everyone who is in need of it. Let us offer this word of prayer together. Misheberach. Misheberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Misheberach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Bless us with the vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Misheberach Avotenu, Misheberach Imotenu. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for another day of counting these days of Elul with our beautiful reflections.